Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Vaos, and I do apologize, but this is going to have to be another slap video, or slapped together video, where I just basically go straight through it as fast as I can without doing a whole lot of editing or scene deleting or anything of that nature. As you can see right down here, I have a nice little pause button, so I'm going to try to pause through most of it so that it's not too long. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour, hopefully. But yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of time at all this week to put anything together, and I do apologize for that. I am still working on the Duna 1 episode. Hopefully I can get that out soon. I'm going to take my time with that. I'm not going to make that a slap together video. I'm going to be very articulate and detailed with it. But it's a very complex process of trying to get the camera angles right. But anyway, yeah. Why are we looking at the Aeris 4A? Well, I've noticed that Cruisin' AK and a couple of others have put out Aeris 4A replacement videos on YouTube. And kicking myself in the butt for missing the submission date to put in one of my ideas for the replacement of the Aeris 4A. So shame on me, damn it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make a video about it. And I figured, hey, sure, I missed the date to put it in, to put my idea in officially, but I'm gonna go ahead and build one. Could be fun. Well, let's talk about the Aeris 4A real quick. What are we looking at when we look at the Aeris 4A? We're looking at a very old-fashioned looking SSTO with a giant rocket in the back. Very low part count. You got fuel lines going from the outer tanks into the inner tanks, but nothing going back into the outer tanks. So you'd have to transfer fuel back into the jet engines before you come back to Kerbin. What else? It's got a heavy ass reaction wheel in front. No other reaction wheels in the whole craft, so when you start getting up into the higher atmosphere, it can become very user unfriendly and spin out if you lose power. What else? Well, that's a problem, obviously. Center of lift and center of mass are right on top of each other, which makes this craft very unstable during flight. And when you start losing fuel, the center of mass goes even further back, which makes it even more unstable. Now, why is this thing built so unstable and so user unfriendly? Well, it's my thought or opinion or idea that when the designers of the game built this craft, they were trying to make a craft that would make players ask questions, try to make it better, try to make the plane better. They would go into its structure, figure out how it's working and how they can make it better. It's a training craft for SSTOs. It points to the right direction, lights the way for how you should approach building SSTOs, but gives problems that would force the player to try to solve it. Why is my craft flipping out of control? Why am I running out of fuel? This, that, and the other. And they would go and try to solve it. So they want to replace the Aeris 4A. Okay, well, let's try to keep it the way that the designers originally intended it to be, which was a training craft of some kind. But let's make it more user-friendly, and let's try to make it make it look a little better. All right, so first off, just by looking at it, I can tell that it is heavier than it should be, a little too heavy for its own good. You do not need all these fuel tanks in order to get it into orbit. especially with the upgrade that they did. I think it was .23, maybe it was sooner, I can't remember. Your jet engines no longer die after they lose more than 100% air. They die after they lose less than 10% air, just like it was supposed to be. But you know, it's an alpha game, and even in its alpha stage, it's still a very beautiful game. So I can't wait for beta or even full release. That would be awesome. What am I going to do? I'm going to strip this thing down to its core. Oh no! Yes, we're going to strip it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get rid of all of this. Yes, we don't need any of this. Go away. And we're going to keep the big giant rocket because it is my idea that they wanted the craft to look like it goes into space for a new player. A new player would look at it and go, that looks like it should go into space because it has a giant rocket on the end. If you were to put an aerospike rocket on the end or something of that nature, they would look at it going, what the hell is that? It's like a spike coming out of the ass end of something. It looks like some sort of rocket hybrid. That's not a rocket. A rocket is this big giant cup cannon looking thing. Yeah. So anyway. Oh crap, I hope I'm not losing my voice. Let's see here. Alright. We have an exploded view of something. Now we could take this design and just go all advanced player with it and put on these small little Rockomax engines, which are one of the best engines in the game, even though it doesn't look like it. The numbers add up compared to thrust and weight ratio and all this other good stuff. An advanced player would know that, but we're looking for somebody, or we're looking for a craft that talks to someone who's only been playing for a couple hours. You know, they've crashed a couple of rockets. They may have gotten a satellite into orbit, maybe. You know, it's so all of a sudden they see this plane here, the Aeris 4A, and it's got a rocket on the back, and it's got RCS thrusters, and they go, hey, this looks like it's supposed to go into space. And you know, they start learning about SSTOs and all this other good stuff. So we want to try to keep it basic, but not only basic in its looks and in its parts, but also not only part count and parts themselves, but the way you put one of these things together, which means we're not going to use we're not going to use a whole lot of the WASD keys as well as the Q and E keys, but at the same time we're not going to use the more advanced version of the Shift WASD Q keys. This is more for advanced players that have more of an understanding of the game. So let's go ahead and get rid of that because it's fucked up, and we'll go ahead and grab another one. Where'd it go? Now I'm going to keep this Clampotron because it's smooth, and I think the designers wanted a Clampotron on their craft because of the fact that it's has doors and it's nicer looking and smoother looking. And to be honest, when you grab one of these suckers and you put it on top, it kind of looks a little weird. It works for craft, I guess, but yeah, they wanted something that looks a little bit more smoother for their very first SSTO, so we're going to keep that. And it's also we're going to want some reaction wheels, and we're going to use these because they do the same type of reaction wheel torque for pitch, yaw, and roll as this one does, but it's lighter, which is going to help a lot. So let's go ahead and put some like this. And this is not going to be the complete craft. We're going to change it up as we go along. We're going to grab our liquid fuel. That is for mostly to feed the jet engines. And let's see what we need. We need something smaller, so we're going to grab this. Very good. And we're going to put the rocket on the end of it. to the end of this. There we go. And we're going to grab these smaller fuel tanks and put them on the side. Like so. Oops. Okay, that doesn't look like it. Right? And, whoop. Like I said before, we're going to need more reaction wheels. There we go. That way, when you're flying up into the higher atmosphere and you start losing power, if you double this up, 3 reaction wheels are better than 1. It keeps your craft from flipping out horribly when you start losing jet engine power. Alright, what do we need? We need wings, obviously. And voila! No, we're not done yet. Here's the problem with this design. These doors, when they open up, are going to clip in with this wing. Now you could say, sure. Sorry, there's a jet flying overhead. You could say, sure, I could just put them down here like so. Yeah, no problem. Ta-da. That's all great and everything, but that would mean that we're going to have to try to make the rest of the wings look like that. And while that may be okay for some, it looks kind of weird. And we're talking about new players here, okay? Brand new players. They don't know what the heck they're doing. They just know that, hey, a wing goes on the side of a fuselage, and voila. Some of them may not even know about the WASD keys just yet. So that is the most simplest way you can slap a wing onto the side of a craft. That being said, we have a problem because this will clip into the wing. Well, we're trying to teach. This is going to be a teaching craft, so we're trying to teach new players how to use everything from fuel tanks to structural parts to help with craft design. Now, what do structural parts do for us? What is their role in KSP? Their role in KSP is to make craft more functional. Means they either allow you to put more 3 parts on 1 part, or an adapter of some kind, or something to cap something off. It makes the design not only look better, but more functional. So we're going to put a structural fuselage in front here to push the nose and the docking port out more so that it's not in the way. There we go. So it's not in the way of the wing when it tries to open the doors. Yeah, that looks nice. Now for some of you going, hey, why don't you just go ahead and take a fuel one instead and put it there so you can have more fuel while you're in space. Well, there's a problem with that, and that is not only is this sucker more than 2 times heavier than the structural fuselage, but the extra fuel, we're not going to need this extra fuel. We are not going to need this extra fuel to get up into space. All this extra fuel is going to do is slow us down and make the craft even less fuel efficient. Because of the fact that it's heavier, it makes the craft heavier, that means it takes longer to get into space. The numbers add up. Alright, now what do we need now? We need to go ahead and if you're asking why I'm not putting these reaction wheels up in front, it's been my experience that if you put all the reaction wheels up front towards the nose of the craft, for some reason, for a more complex craft like this one, when you hit SAS, the whole thing starts to rattle. The whole thing starts to shake. It starts to vibrate. It's very strange. I don't know exactly what's going on, and the only way you could get rid of it is when you punch through the thicker atmosphere into the lighter atmosphere, and then it goes away. But if you take all your reaction wheels and you put them towards the middle for a larger craft, it eliminates that problem. I don't know why. It's just KSP physics, I suppose. Alright, let's see. What do we need here? We need to go ahead and we need to go ahead and get some fuel lines. There we go. Now I could make it more user-friendly and have it where you have fuel lines coming from the outer tanks to the inner tanks, and then the inner tanks back into the outer tanks. That way you don't have to ever worry about transferring fuel to the outer tanks in order to activate the rocket engines. The jet engines. But what would that teach the player? What would that make the player ask? What kind of questions would he ask if all the time the jet engines always worked, regardless if you had fuel in these tanks or not? Oh, you'd look at, there's got to be something going on with this. What are those? Those are kind of weird. Sure, but to make him really ask the question, whoops, and that's not what I was meant to do. I'll take that and hit Control Z. I like Control Z. You want to go ahead and have it so when he's trying to land the craft, all of a sudden the jet engines aren't working, and when he goes back into the craft hangar bay, he starts to wonder what these are. He starts to look at these. Hey, these look like they're transferring fuel from the outer tanks into the inner tanks. Maybe I should add a line to go into the inner tanks to the outer tanks. Maybe that will fix it. And these are the kind of questions that teach you how to build your own craft. This is what this craft was meant to do. It was to teach. It is a teaching craft. It is not supposed to be the super duper replace all SSTOs in the universe type of vehicle. No. It was meant to be a training craft. Alright, but we're going to make it a buttload more user friendly. So, and we're going to go ahead and try to keep the part count down. Now the original Aeris 4A, when you tried to move the center of mass and lift, when you tried to move the center of mass ahead of the center of lift, suddenly these control surfaces didn't quite work as well. The Aeris 4A would take almost the entire runway to get off the ground because suddenly it was nose heavy just by putting the center of mass a little bit ahead of the center of lift, which was one of the reasons, I think, why the designers put the center of lift literally right on top of the center of mass so that it could take off a little easier. But unfortunately that created problems, but it's a learning craft. So to make this more user-friendly during takeoff, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this. I'm going to show you why. These small control surfaces, while they only produce a lift rating of 0.5, you can put 3 of them in the same space that you can only put one of these. So if you put 3 0.5 control surfaces, that's 1.5 lift rating compared to 0.7 lift rating in the same spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do that. And switch this around, W key, Alt click, clones the part, Alt click, and 3 of them is good. There we go. Even kind of looks nicer. Nice. Now, what else do we need? We can go ahead and try to make this thing look nice. Take that off like that. Sure, oh my goodness, that is sweet. That is beautiful. Now, but here's the problem. We are trying to make this thing the least amount of parts possible. So that means we're going to have to forego the really cool look and go for something that was more of what they were trying to do, which is put the single winglet in the middle for your yaw. And I've used this one instead of this one because it's stronger. The lift rating means that it has a more powerful yaw influence, I guess you could say. So it'll help our craft be more stable. And let's see here, what else do we need? Okay, let's put some wheels on this thing. Actually, no. Let's go ahead and put some air scoops on this thing because the Aeris 4A had air scoops. 2 of them per jet engine. So let's go ahead and duplicate that. Put one right there, Alt click, and I'm gonna put one down here. Yeah, there we go. Ah, that looks nice. I like it. Very nice. Alright, so we still have the issue going on with this right here, but we're not done yet. We have to make it more user-friendly during takeoff. During takeoff. And that means the Aeris 4A was infamous for striking the ground with its rocket engine before it took off, because of the fact that the wheels weren't far enough back. The gears weren't far enough back to try to catch that from happening. So let's go ahead and fix that. We are going to fix that. There we go. Try to put these as far back as possible. A little bit wide for more stability. That should be good. If you can imagine a line creating a 45-degree angle from the wheels, from the bottom of the wheels to the tip, about a 45-degree angle, you're good. Anything more, anything further out, would be pushing it. So the wheels are as far back. They're using as far back as possible. They are using the wings to get as far back as possible, which means that we cannot move the wings at all. They are in a good position to help the rocket not strike the ground. So what does that mean we have to do? That means we have to, just like the Aeris 4A, put winglets in the front. There we go. Aha! There we go. That fixed it. Oh boy. Gonna have to play with this a little bit. Let's see here. What's this do? Gonna bring that up just a pinch. Same here. Oh, no, maybe we should bring it down some. I don't know. Okay. Try not to part clip a whole lot. Yeah, okay. What else do we need? But okay, let's go ahead and put a wheel up here, because that will actually change this. Slap one right here real quick. There we go. Ha 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 ha. Awesome. Alright, so this is perfect. Right there. And as you can see what I did with the front winglets, I put them down a little bit to give them a kind of angle, make it look a little better. I think this is ready to fly. Looks good. Let's look at the RCS controls real quick. Now when you put the RCS controls together, you want to try to put them around the center of mass. You want to try to put them around the center of mass, because if you don't, one RCS side is going to be a little bit behind while the other one is just going to flail around like a rag doll, and it's going to make it very unstable. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to change this, pull it back a little bit. There we go. Like so. And good. That looks good. That will work. Yep. Okay. Alright. I think we are good to go. We just need to go ahead and put some action groups on this thing. Okay. I sure hope I'm not forgetting anything. Action groups. Action groups. Thank you. Now, hit the number one. What's here? Activate engine? No. We want to go ahead and toggle, not toggle gimbal, toggle engine. Yes. We also want to toggle all the air intakes. That way, it's just one keystroke that closes the air intakes and shuts down the engines all at the same time. As well as one more keystroke will open all the air intakes and activate the engines. Simple enough. Activate only? No. We want to go ahead and toggle the engine. Yes, so we can turn the rocket engine on and off. Number 3 key. What the heck? Yeah, that's weird. Number 3 key. We will make our number 3 key to toggle the decoupler, or the clampotron doors. And number 4 key we will make to decouple the clampotron. There we go. And number 5 key, this is the most important key. Number 5 key. In the original Aeris, there is no way to generate electricity. So if you start using SAS units in space without the jet engines on or rocket engines on to help replenish the electricity, you're going to run out of juice quickly. So what you want to do is you want to turn off or toggle all of your reaction wheels, which also means the cockpit. Don't forget the cockpit. There. So when you turn off all the reaction wheels, you won't be using any electricity whatsoever. In order to maneuver in space, you'll be using the RCS thrusters only, which is fine, as long as you don't use too much fuel. Alright, let's see here. And save, and let's look at our part count. What do we have? 46. It's a little higher than what I would like compared to the 39, but we're trying to make it more user-friendly, which means increased control surfaces and increased reaction wheels. Awesome. Now, before we begin flying the craft that we just built, I want to show you another variation that has 43 parts instead of 46. And what that does, it's a little bit more advanced, so this is why I'm probably not going to use it. It uses the engine nacelles, because the engine nacelles have air scoops on them. And you can just put the same amount of fuel, but keep it in one tank. That way you never have to run out of fuel for your jet engines. All you have to do is get the fuel lines and take them from the inner fuselage and put them into the outer fuselages, because of the fact that you don't have to worry about running out of fuel, because there is no fuel. These are not gas tanks. That way you can always have fuel going to the engines, as long as you have fuel inside your center fuselage or your center fuel tank. But yeah, that's another variation, and because of the fact, like I said before, they already have their air scoops on them, you don't have to add any more parts to the whole thing. Yeah, so it's a more advanced version, and it's not as user-friendly as the one we're working on. I'm not quite sure why, but it does like to flip out if you're a little too hard with it. But there you go. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the more user-friendly, less advanced version of the Aeris 5A. Alright, let's go ahead and take this bad boy out for a spin. I might change it up a little bit, but like I said before, I have this lovely little pause button, so you won't see that until later. Alright, here we go. I do apologize, it is going on 40 minutes now, so let's try to do this quickly. Spacebar, hit number 2, turns off your rocket engine, SAS, full throttle, and pull up. Aha, that's nice. And there's no shaking. That's great. Let's go ahead and test this real quick. A new player wouldn't really know about the whole WASD keys and just tapping them. More than likely, just like I did when I first started, I would hold down the S key real hard. So let's do that. Here we go. Woo. Oh, not bad. I'm holding down the S key right now. Just holding it down. I mean, it's wobbling, of course. It's a little It's not exactly what I would build for a plane. I would definitely have some struts in there to help it. But basically, it's fairly nice. Not very maneuverable, but it's fairly good. Ah, cool. Alright, now that that's over, let's go ahead and launch it from the beginning. Alright, back to square one. SAS on. Spacebar. Number 2 key, shut down the rocket, full throttle, and pull up. Because our wheels are far enough back, we don't really have to worry about striking the runway with the rocket engine. Gears up, and let's point it to about 70 degrees. Try to cut through the atmosphere as fast as possible. Alright, let me go ahead and skip this part. Alright, now at 12,000 meters, you want to go ahead and level out to about 15 degrees to build up your speed while you slowly gain altitude. At 20,000 meters, you want to go ahead and level out to about 5 degrees. And let's see here, at about 1400 meters per second, you can pull up at a 45-degree angle, but because of the fact that we've got more that were lighter than the original Aeris 4A rocket, or SSTO, excuse me, we can actually go even faster before we do this, which will help us with the overall speed. Alright, activate your rocket engines to about 23 and bring your throttle down to a little less than half, and now pull up. Make sure your RCS is on. There we go, about 45 degrees. A little less than half throttle, that way when you finally, when the jet engines finally die on you, there's not a whole lot of thrust in those jet engines to make you spin off course. So, oh, there they go. Turn off jet engines and activate rockets. Hit the M to look at your map so you don't fly past, we're gonna go for 80,000 meters. And 70, 80, good. Beautiful, we're on our way towards space. Now notice that our reaction wheels is sucking up some electricity, so we'll hit the action group number 5, and that should turn everything off. So now that we have everything off, using the RCS fuel only, without using electricity, very good. Hoo-wee, I am exhausted. Alright, here we go. Getting ready to burn into orbit here, and full power. As long as you keep your apoapsis in front of you, you really don't need a maneuver node, because if you keep your apoapsis in front of you, you're going to pretty much maintain that altitude. Now, if you go past it, of course, then you're going to have problems. But all right, we are getting there. Perigee is going up. Very good. So let me skip this part. All right, we are now in orbit. 73 perigee, 79,000 apogee, and our target is to test out our docking capability. Will be the Star Rim station. Took about 12 different launches to build this sucker, so it is kind of big. Let's see if we can go ahead and rendezvous with it. And of course, I'll skip past all of that boring stuff. Alright, we are going to make our burn now for interception of the space station. I've got it to about, well, if I make the burn correctly and don't mess up, it'll be about 400 meters. It'll be about 400 meters separation, so pretty darn close. And in 6 seconds, hopefully we can get this right on the money. SAS on, and what's that? What do I got? I think that's close. I'm not sure. 700 meters or 0.7 kilometers. We're good. Alright, let me go ahead and fast forward. Alright, coming in for interception. Looks like it's rendered now, so it's going to be a little choppy. And I'm going to try to do this without messing up. Hopefully. Okay. I figured, let me go ahead and tape record this part just in case I do screw up. Everybody can learn from my mistakes of what not to do. So right now I am turning in the opposite direction that this thing is coming at me with, in hopes that I can kind of, in a sense, slow down. Alright, kind of like playing Asteroids, for those of you who remember that game. Yeah, I feel so old. Oh crap, okay, SAS on, good. Alright, it's creeping by us, so what I want to do is I want to activate the rockets, but not yet. Not yet. And now. Contact. Alright, awesome. That is pretty cool. And yes, that is a interplanetary vehicle that was assembled into orbit. It's 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. And of course this whole thing was brought up here one piece at a time. You want to start off with this piece first, that piece second, and this piece first. Or no, excuse me. This piece first, this piece second, because this is your tow truck. This is what helped build the entire thing. I just sent the parts up there, and it did its job and put everything together. But enough of the station. This is not about the station. No, this is about the Aeris 5, which I think could look a lot better, but like I said before, I was trying to keep the part count down. Okay, now that we've docked, let's go ahead and hit the Is it the 5 key? 4 key. Hit the 4 key, which should undock. Here we go. Boom. We are undocked. SAS on. Hit the I key to move away. Oops, RCS on. I key, move away. And there she goes. Alright, now let's flip this bad boy over. Hit the number 3 key to close the docking doors. And now we will land back at Kerbal Space Center. Well, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. The Aeris update. Something that I would put in, but also I would put in the one with the 2 winglets on the sides of the wings to make it look a little bit more sporty looking. But for this one in particular, I tried to go for something that was a little bit more how do you say, basic with less part count. So there you are. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm sorry for this video being very long and somewhat slapped together, but hopefully in the upcoming days or weeks I'll get some more time to put something together that's a lot better, cleaner, smoother. And yeah, especially with that Duna 1 episode that I'm still working on. So real quick, before I end this video, I would like to ask my subscribers a question, an idea that I've been thinking of. Would you like it if I started playing like a Let's Play type of video, where I start playing something like, I don't know, Spore or EVE Online or Star Wars Online or Star Trek Online, or even a first-person shooter like Fear Project Origin, or something scary like Fatal Frame, or anything of that nature, and have it where, you know, cut out the boring bits and put together the better bits, you know, and have like a Let's Play kind of video. Would you be interested in that, or should I just stick with KSP videos? And I'd like to get your opinions on that, so I can better make a decision of what I'm going to do, and whether or not I should just stick with KSP. So with that, I will bid you good night. I am Vaos, signing off.